back on the show tomorrow as we go to our guest line as promised and bring on Terrence Oglesby from ESPN and the ACC Network. He's been on the call for the last two Syracuse games, including the one last night with our good friend Anish Shroff. Terrence, thanks for coming on, and I think you might be the good luck charm for this team. You've seen maybe the two best performances this team has had, certainly since the Tennessee game in back-to-back games.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I might be the good luck charm, so I'll go ahead and take the credit for all of that. Hey, look, me coming in and calling games coincides with Donnie Freeman getting comfortable with this offense, and really all the teammates starting to play cohesively. Now the pieces fit with him back in the lineup, and it's been a lot of fun to watch.
Terrence, when you talk about the cohesiveness, and we've seen it offensively, they put up 94 points last night, what they were able to do in the first half against the Pittsburgh team. How has it changed with Donnie on the floor? How do you see this offense moving?
Just extra playmaking. I think that's first and foremost. And not only that, I think we saw last night, whenever Syracuse was able to get a stop, Donnie was able to bring the ball up himself and make decisions in transition. And that just adds another piece. Then you have four, potentially even five guys, depending on how much you trust William Kyle, to grab a rebound and take off and initiate the break. So it makes them that much more dangerous. And I think what you're seeing now with Donnie back in the lineup is now when you get stops, you can play quickly. You don't necessarily have to call a set play or a set piece to get your guys a good look. It can happen organically. And that's what's happened ever since he's been back in the lineup, because now you're able to capitalize off that high-level defense that Cuse has been playing all season.
Yeah, Donnie's been back for 4 games now. He was dominant in that second half against Clemson after a slow start, and then the 3 games since then, all over 20 points. He certainly looks like an NBA player to us. I mean, you from the outside looking in, what do you make of his game individually and maybe how it translates to the next level?
Well, I think you have to be – basically they talked about being a five-tool player in baseball. I think the NBA has geared to where you have to be able to dribble, pass, shoot, defend, and think. And I think that last part is the biggest part. And he's done some things that stand out to me. His willingness to let the ball go, change sides of the floor. And then towards the end of the game, when it's winning time, he's demanding the basketball so he can make something happen. I think he processes the game really well. You have to have the measurables in the NBA. And I've worked with the Charlotte Hornets for the last 3 years now. You have to have those necessary measurables to be able to defend and switch, because you have to be able to cover so much of the floor on the defensive end because of how the rules are set up. Well, he has those things too. So to me, Donnie Freeman's been really impressive. Do you get him past this year at Syracuse? I think if he plays his best basketball and Syracuse is as successful as I think they can be, I don't think you see him past this year, because he has been that good. It's just a matter of where he fits and how quickly he can be a guy that not around that 35 to 40% mark at the NBA level.
With Donnie Freeman in the lineup, especially these last 2 games, J.J. Starling's probably played 2 of his better games. Is he kind of the X factor of this Syracuse basketball team right now?
I think the X factor is Donnie Freeman, but if you're going to throw a second place ribbon in there, and I'm all for participation trophies, I think I would go ahead and put JJ there. I really like what he is for this team. Is this the best version of JJ Starling as far as his production is concerned? Probably not, but it fits better this season. Playing alongside another playmaking guard who can find shots for everybody, he doesn't have to necessarily be as assertive as he's been in recent memory up at Syracuse. So you look at his game, his ability to push in transition, they get stops, he can take off and go. And where I think he's most effective is using that athleticism on the defensive end of the floor. He's broad, he's got long arms, and then he can use some of those physical tools that he has to really make life tough on opposing offenses. So I really like how his game has developed, and I really like how he's kind of developed into this extra, connective piece that makes Syracuse really work.
Let's talk about William Kyle for a second, if we can. You had a front row seat for that dunk against Pittsburgh, and then some of the plays he makes last night. He's so bouncy. He gets off the floor so quickly. He's so athletic. You've been doing this a while. Does his game remind you of anyone? Can you compare him to anyone you've seen along the way?
You know what, guys, there's a guy named DJ Stevens that played at Memphis and played in the G League for a long time. They were kind of the same as far as athleticism is concerned, but DJ was only like 6'6". William Kyle, he has more game than I think people initially give him credit for. He can handle it a little bit. He can pass it a little bit. And he's just a freak athlete. Now, you know, what you see as far as from his free throws and all that, like, you have to improve those, obviously. But when I was talking to Red Autry about him a couple of games ago before the Pitt game, he's like, you know what? What he does well is so elite that you have to live with some of the inadequacies as far as the jump shot is concerned. Because he changes the game with how high he can jump, his wingspan. It's incredible, really. And, you know, it's funny, when he had that tip dunk against Pitt, I didn't have any words left. So I just basically said that he's dunking on everybody's mama, and it just kind of happened organically. But it's just a real pleasure to watch, and his effort is there. He communicates at a high level, and he has a little bit of skill as far as bringing it up in transition too. I'm just not necessarily sure that's where he's at his best, but he's terrific defensively. He's switchable, and my goodness, there was a block shot last night, guys, in the first half where, I mean, his fingertips were in between the top of the square and the top of the backboard. I mean, if there's $1 up there, he can lead 4 quarters if you need to. Like, he is incredible.
Terrence, I think the Pitt cheerleader had the best expression out of everyone after William Kyle's dunk. That aside, Syracuse has played the lower tier teams statistically and looking at the records in the league. Where do you think SU ranks right now?
Dead middle of the league. And where I think Cuse to me right now is in that 7, 8, 9 area. Just because, one, that's not a slight against Syracuse. I think it's a compliment to the league as a whole. And if this Cuse team hadn't lost to Hofstra, they're very much in the tournament picture. I do think, though, and it might be tough for Syracuse fans to hear, that you can't just cheer for one New York team. You need to cheer for 2, because the better that Hofstra does throughout the course of this season, the better it's going to look on Syracuse's resume. And there's a very real chance Cruz Davis and Hofstra end up winning the Coastal anyway, so it's not going to be that damaging. That being said, you have Boston College coming up. This is a must-win game, and Boston College has not been very good. That's no secret. But you have to take care of business, and then things can start to get interesting. And the good part for everybody involved in the conference is the opportunities for Quad 1 and Quad 2 wins are certainly there. You have to take advantage of them.
How much do you think the committee will factor in, and I realize there's a lot of speculation with this, but the fact that Donnie wasn't there, you know, for the Vegas trip and for the Hofstra loss, and the team has looked significantly better with him back, and yeah, I know there's a lot of basketball left to be played, but do you think that they could potentially get the benefit of the doubt if they beat the teams they're supposed to beat, pick off a few of the, you know, the bigger teams in the league? Do you think that come Selection Sunday, the committee will take that into account?
You know what? They are human. I want to throw that in. These are humans making those decisions. Syracuse is a heck of a brand, and I don't see how that doesn't come into the equation, because they've been outstanding with him on the floor. You just have to take care of business, and I do think that that's going to be a big portion. We are so analytically driven as far as the NCAA tournament is concerned right now that you just have to take care of and control what you can control. Win as many games as you can, move going down the stretch. But to me, Syracuse looks like a tournament team. That one loss really hurts them. Outside of that, they haven't really had anything damaging. You know, the games in Las Vegas, you know, they were what they were. But that was against high-caliber competition, and you know, you just have to keep winning. You just have to find a way to keep winning.
You get to talk to Red, and now in his 3rd season here at Syracuse, have you seen any change maybe in the demeanor or coaching style or anything that you've seen in this 3rd year now with him as the head coach of his alma mater?
You know, I like what he does as far as switching defenses back and forth, and I know that's something that's been pretty consistent. You know, playing a lot more man-to-man defense. I do think I really like Red. I think everybody around Syracuse really likes him. He's just a personable guy. He understands what the job is. He has a general appreciation for what the job is. I think this season you hire a GM who helps you kind of narrow your focus into, hey, what kind of team do we want to be? Because I think Alex Klein has been a big piece of this. Because when you look at this roster this season, they all fit together in theory. You have a pure point guard. You have a lightning fast scorer at the 2 position. You have a shooting 3-man who can knock down over 44% from 3 last season. You have Donnie Freeman, who's your go-to option. And then you have a pogo stick center that protects the rim on the defensive end of the floor. So I do feel like there's a higher level of comfort with this team. They are doing shoot-arounds, so that's different than what I've seen from Syracuse in the past few years. And I do think there's an intentional way of how they're going about their business. So as far as style of play, you do like what they're running. Syracuse is going to be Syracuse, though, because you're going to get a high-level player. You're going to get these 5-star recruits. There's an element of, hey, I have a better player than you. I'm going to show you. Here's Donnie Freeman. Let's see what he can handle. And there's nothing wrong with that. Boeheim did that for almost 50 years. So you can't stray too far away from that. But I think the biggest thing this season against the last 2 years has been the roster construction and how they fit cohesively as a unit.
Yeah, 100%, no doubt about it. And we're starting to see a little zone, them dabbling in some zone, which is a little bit of a change for Adrian Autry. Terrence, thanks so much for the time. Do you know when your next Syracuse game is, so we could chalk that one up to a win? Do you know when you're on the call again?
Non-betting purposes, obviously, Terrence. Just need to know.
Yeah, betting-free situation here. No, I actually, right offhand, guys, I do not know that. I'm actually driving to Bristol. I'm doing studio tonight for the ACC, so gotcha. I'm just taking it one day at a time at this point, gentlemen. Just taking it one day at a time.
Well, open invitation. Yeah. Anytime you want to come to the Dome and do a game, I know that they would be, they'd welcome you with open arms.
Safe travels, Terrence.
Safe travels. Thanks for coming on. We do appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Thank you. Terrence Oglesby joining us here on the show. And with that, we'll hit a timeout. We'll check in on the market. We'll wrap up hour number 1, and then Dada Datota will join us as we kick off